Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Nashville Predators Throwback 2000 franchise mode here in NHL 24. So, in last episode, we simulated more of the season, and the team's starting to take around a better approach to the season because we didn't start off too good. Like, I'd say we started off kind of average. However, our team had a really good part of the season up until the trade deadline, mainly led by the top line, I could say, and also the goaltending has been phenomenal, and it has put us in a good spot to potentially make the playoffs this season. As you can see, Marita has started to heat up quite a bit. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, over the last 24 or so games, he had like 14 goals and like he was point per game. Spezza was around point per game as well. Scott Hartnell really slowed down in terms of goal scoring. However, he did pick up a lot of assists because of Marita. So we got a lot of guys starting to pick up their points, which is nice. So the offense is definitely coming. However, the bottom six is still kind of struggling a bit in terms of defense, as is the defensive core. So obviously, with us making the playoffs this coming season, probably we might want to make some adjustments. We have had some really good goaltending, though, from Marcus Sedin in his first season. He's got a .910 save percentage. There is a realistic chance that this guy could end up winning the Calder as Rookie of the Year this season if he keeps up on that pace. So it's been an exciting season, and it's only going to get more exciting with the guys that we have in the system coming to the NHL eventually next season, probably in seasons to come. But anyways, before we get into the trade deadline and simulating the rest of the 2004-05 season, let's get in your guys' comments and see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we will simulate the rest of the regular season. So the first comment is from Michael Dose, who says, I'm really excited to see this team in 2 to 3 seasons with Hartnell, Marita, Spezza, Sedin in goal, and those young defenders that you're drafted. And yeah, I'm really excited for the future of this team as well. Like, the players that we already have on the roster have been great, and as you mentioned, our defensive prospect pool is really, really good, and a lot of them are going to be making the NHL in the next few years, like Corazini, who's currently in the AHL. He's obviously looking pretty good. We have Jacques, who's getting close to being NHL ready. We have Shea Weber. We have Brent Seabrook, Ryan Suter. There's even guys like Christoph Schubert who could end up making it. And also Mark Giordano, who's definitely taken a little bit of time to develop, but he could also make it to our defensive core down the road. So very excited to see what those guys end up developing like, and hopefully a lot of them have good careers on our blue line. And the last and final comment is from Sano Taco, who says, Marcus Sedin is too good right now. You might want to rework your second and third lines a bit to see if you could get better defensive results. I'd prefer Danny Markov, as the price to get Rob Blake is likely going to be pretty steep. It's time to also trade DiPietro and Erat, see how the AHL team is doing. If they're far out of a playoff spot, you could call up Corazini right now. You missed Marita having a 5-point night against the Florida Panthers on February 23rd. So yeah, I did miss that Morita 5-point game. However, in terms of trading, you want me to go after Danny Markov. I found a good, actually realistic trade scenario that we could do to bring in Rob Blake. And I was looking at the trade finder to see what it would cost us for Rob Blake. There's some offers that are obviously a little bit too expensive. However, there's one that I think would actually be a benefit for this team. Let's go to that trade offer right now, and I'll show you guys why I think this would be a good one for our team to make. So we are going to go to the LA Kings here and go to Rob Blake and see what they want. You can see that there's 5 different offers. So this first one is the one I'm looking at doing. It's a second, Barteshko in a third. There was also other ones like Barteshko 2/3. Actually, that one might be better to do just because we don't have to give up a second. So actually, I might do that one instead. This one, Versteeg, Barteshko in a third, I don't really want to do because obviously Versteeg's an elite prospect. He might not develop into being a crazy good goaltender, but still, it's probably a little bit of a risk to do that already. There's Jacques, who I don't really want to give up with the defensive core future. And then there's also Ryan Suter in this one, and I don't really want to give up Ryan Suter either. So the one with Barteshko in 2/3 probably makes the most sense for our team to do now. You're probably like, why would you trade Barteshko right now? Like, Barteshko is an 83 overall. He's a third-line guy. He has not been that good defensively. And then again, also Saturn Taco, you were mentioning about how our second and third line needs to be reworked. Well, I have an idea of who we could replace Barteshko with. Now, Barteshko has kind of struggled this season a little bit defensively. He was struggling as well last year. As you can see, he's been a -23 in the last 2 years combined. Hasn't really done much in terms of his only playoff series that he was with us as well. And in general, his playoff numbers are not really that good. He has not scored a goal in 22 games. So I think it would probably be beneficial for us to trade him and find somebody better for that third line that's more defensively oriented. And you're probably like, who would you bring in that's more defensively oriented? Well, I did find somebody that's also an 83 overall left winger that probably would be on the block just because the Boston Bruins are not doing too well, as you can see this season. Below my name or my face, you can see 29, 32, 4, and 3, so they're not doing too hot. They have a guy that would be interesting and better defensively in that type of situation. That being PJ Axelson. He is a little bit older, but he's only signed for 1 year, and he's a good little rental piece. Also has a lot better defensive attributes, as you can see. 87 defensive awareness, good shot blocking, good stick checking. So that should help us play a lot better defensively on that third line, which is kind of what I'm going for. Now, PJ Axelson has kind of struggled defensively in this series so far. But he also looks like he could bring a little bit of offensive edge to his team, so it's just good. And then, like I said, he is a bit better defensively, obviously, than Barteshko. Maybe not so much in terms of the simulation, but in real life, he was. The giveaway-takeaway ratio, you can see he has usually a lot more takeaways than giveaways. This is like his first season where he's kind of struggling in that department. So I'm hoping that he could just bring some good leadership and defensive skill to our third line by bringing him in. Now, the question is, what would I give up to get PJ Axelson? Well, I know exactly the thing to give up for PJ Axelson, and that is Martin Erat, because you were saying about probably trading away Martin Erat. Martin Erat would easily be able to get us Axelson. It might also be able to get him a replacement for that fourth line as well. So likely we're going to be trading Erat to Boston to get Axelson for that third line. Maybe even also a fourth line guy to replace Erat, basically. And then we're also going to do that other trade for Rob Blake. So that way we have Rob Blake added to our defensive core, which will make our defensive core a lot stronger. Because at the moment, if I was to bring in somebody like Danny Markov that you were mentioning about, he's not a substantial upgrade on defense. And he's going to cost us probably a little bit less than what the other offer is going to. So by bringing in Rob Blake, we'd likely scratch Wade Belak, I would assume, or Teppo Newman, and one of the two of those guys. And then the rest of our defense score looks a lot stronger, especially on that right-hand side, which is a big weakness, because right now our top right-handed defenseman is Andy Delmore. So I think that's obviously the trade route we're going to go with this. So let's go back to the trade finder here and do that deal for Rob Blake first and foremost. And also why Rob Blake would be a really good defenseman to bring in. He might be a little bit of a defensive liability at times, but if you look at his stat line, he has been a very good offensive defenseman. Our two-way defenseman, I guess, more so in the series. A lot of points, 50, 60 points every single year. This year, he might even be having a career year, basically. So he will bring a lot of offense to our back end, which is something we don't got a lot of, because at the moment, it's just basically Andy Delmore and the old retired, almost retired, I should say, Teppo Newman. And so Rob Blake is who we're going to bring in, and I think that will be a nice little upgrade. Because literally the 2/3 is not going to be much. That's probably going to be some top 9 prospects, maybe even worse than that. Could be low elite prospects, which would kind of suck, but it doesn't really matter too much. And then Lubos Barteshko, like I said, we could easily replace. So this is the trade we're going to do. So welcome to Nashville, Rob Blake. We'll see how good he could be on our defensive core. So there we go. Rob Blake is in. Did it have to send anybody down? I don't think so. We should be good. Let's just go. Let's just put him right back in that same spot before, and we'll adjust this afterwards. We'll just get Erat up there, and we'll put temporarily in one of these depth forwards, because obviously we're going to be still bringing in what's the frig, Axelson. I was going to say Archipov for some reason. Like, my brain is kind of scrambled right now for some reason again. Okay, so we'll just put Cesar in all these spots here for the time being. And then obviously we'll make our adjustments afterwards. Because I will definitely have Rob Blake on our power play for sure. I think that will definitely give us a good little offensive boost on the defensive side of things too. Yeah, we'll probably scratch Wade Belak. Oh, actually, maybe Teppo Newman, and to be honest. Teppo, though, has brought in some offense, which is good, but the plus-minus is worse on Teppo Newman. Trying to think. Yeah, I would probably scratch Teppo over Wade Belak. I think. Maybe. You know what? We kind of need a rock-steady defenseman down there, so let me actually just take out Teppo Newman in here. Yeah, I think we'll take out Teppo. And then we got Rob Blake on the top pairing instead. Andy Delmore in the top 6, but he will also play on the power play still. That's okay. That makes us a little bit better in terms of the chemistry. So there is our little adjustment that we're going to make on the defensive side of things. Now comes the time to trade for Axelson to solidify that third line. And also, like I said, we will probably see if we could squeeze in a fourth liner in that trade with Erat. So that way we can get ourselves a replacement directly for Erat as well. So, and then we also need to find a way to trade away DiPietro, because also we probably want to trade away DiPietro so that way we could use Dan Ellis as a backup potentially this season. So that's probably something we're also going to look into a little bit. So actually, Erat is a right winger. We were just using him as a left winger. So let's go to Boston here, and we want PJ Axelson. You can see the trade value is definitely in our favor, so we should be able to get a fourth line replacement straight up for this as well. Which, who do I want for the fourth line? I could literally bring in somebody pretty solid like Jay Pandolfo, to be honest. I don't want Matt Cook, to be honest. I just don't. Alex Burrows is also on this team, so it's literally Tugi's like worst nightmare with Cook and Burrows on the same team. Ryan Clough has too much trade value. Let me sort this by overall rating. I might honestly lean towards Jay Pandolfo, but he is signed for 2 years. Because Pandolfo is a good defensive forward as well. Todd Warner, not as much. Brad May is more of a grindy guy. He is in the AHL at the moment, but how has he done in the actual NHL? Minus 27, kind of too aggressive. I don't really know if I want a fourth line grinder, really. I might bring in Jay Pandolfo, and then we could trade him in the offseason if we need to. Yeah, let's bring in Pandolfo as well. And then we might have to add something on our side to get this deal to go through. Which they do have interest in some of our later picks, so let's add a 7th rounder. So Martin Erat in a 7th round pick, we get PJ Axelson to basically replace Parteshko for that third line. We also trade away Erat to basically replace him with Jay Pandolfo on that fourth line. So it makes us a bit stronger defensively in that bottom 6, which I think is definitely something this team needs. So let's see if that will go through. And that will get through. Okay, perfect. So there is a pretty nice little trade with the Boston Bruins. So Axelson is in, and same with Jay Pandolfo, which I really like. Let's just go roster moves. I don't think we actually need to make any roster moves because we have enough people. Let's go edit. Actually, let's go best lines for the time being. We'll readjust this after we do our last trade. And apparently doing best lines also adjusts your captains, which is kind of dumb. Oh well. Our last player that we were thinking about trading is Rick DiPietro, which might not have to happen. We could trade him in the offseason, but I don't know. He has been getting better in the last episode he was, but it would probably be the time to trade him. There was a bug literally flying in my face if you didn't notice. Yeah, I guess we could trade DiPietro now. The question is, though, what do we want for DiPietro? Because there's not really a whole lot we need at this stage. I guess just draft picks or something like that. Who would I want to trade him to? It has to be a team that is actually willing to take him in as a starter. I think the Islanders were trying to get him in the offseason, right? So maybe the Islanders would be actually a good team to send him to. So the Atlanta Thrashers could definitely utilize somebody like him because they do have Jonas Hiller already playing in the NHL. Felix Poffin's not doing too well. Trying to think of a good spot for him. Obviously, Boston's not a good spot for him. Or Buffalo. Wow, a lot of these teams are stacking up on goalies. It's kind of weird. Not in Chicago. Colorado doesn't need him. Yeah, right now Atlanta's likely the best destination for him to actually get that starting job. LA doesn't have a good backup really, but still I don't want him to be a backup somewhere. I want him to actually get a starting gig somewhere. So is there a team that would actually be willing to take him in as a starter? Ottawa doesn't have a good backup. Most of these teams are pretty strong goaltending depth-wise, so they might not need a goalie like him. St. Louis could use a backup too, but Roman Turek's there, and he's probably signed for a couple of years, right? 1 year only. That's interesting. I wonder if they'd bring him back. Probably they will. Tampa doesn't have a good goaltending situation. They're relying on Pascal Leclerc and Steve Shields right now. And I do have Leclerc on the block, but Cam Ward is in the system, so I don't think it really makes sense for him to go there. The Vancouver Canucks, who have been one of the worst teams I've ever seen in this series, could use a goaltender. They're right now relying on Manny Legacy and Jose Theodore, who has dropped off a lot, probably due to morale. Yeah, Vancouver might be actually a better destination than Atlanta, but they don't have any interest in him. Atlanta has no interest in him either. I don't know why, because they do need the goaltenders. I'm going to overwrite that and see what I could get for them. The Atlanta Thrashers. Do they have a draft pick they'd be willing to give up? 4th round pick. I could even get higher than a 4th round pick for DiPietro. I feel like I could get like a 3rd rounder. But they don't really want to give up 3rd rounders probably. Just because they're a really bad team. I feel like I could even get better than that. Who were the teams that actually had interest in him? I'm curious on that. Does nobody have any interest in Rick DiPietro? Montreal does. Okay, that's the first team. Colorado does, and Carolina. There's only 3 teams that have actual interest in Rick DiPietro. That's actually kind of surprising. They just know that he's going to have injury problems down the road. Does Carolina even make any sense, though? It kind of does, actually. He would be the starter because Jack Manick would be the backup. It does upgrade from John Graham, too. Carolina might actually be not a bad option for him. What about Colorado? Colorado, which is in our division, I think. Actually, no, they're not in our division. They have already a lot of good goalies. They don't have any use for him, even though they say they do. And then the other team is the Montreal Canadiens, who are really good this season. They don't really have any use. Like, he would be their starting goalie, but they're a really good team, and I don't want them to win a cup against us or something like that. So Carolina is going to be probably the best bet we trade him to. So let's see their draft picks here. They have a lot of draft picks this year. They're only willing to give up a 4th and a 6th, though. But they do have multiple 3rd round picks, so I should be able to hypothetically get one of these 3rd rounders. Let's try your own 3rd round pick. Yeah, I'll take your own 3rd round pick, even if this is maybe less value than I need to take. Like, I could even maybe add more picks to this. I'm just going to take a 3rd rounder and be nice to Carolina, give them Rick DiPietro, and see if that goes through. Wow, too far off. Okay, never mind. That looks like it's more value going to them, though, so I don't know why they're trying to scrape me. But we will take a 4th round pick, or 2 4th round picks in this deal instead, then. That should get it done. Maybe we'll have to take a 4th and a 5th, but I think that should get it done. One of them is an Islanders pick, which is kind of funny considering it's DiPietro, but let's see if he'll go to Carolina. And it will work. Okay, so for 2 4th round picks, which means Dan Ellis is coming up to the NHL. Rick DiPietro has been dealt. A lot of the people on the team aren't too happy about that, but it had to happen. And Dan Ellis will now get his opportunity to be an NHL goalie. And that's basically what we're going to do with the team. All right, so now we can actually adjust our lines. That was a lot of movement, took a lot of time to do, but I think it was worth it. So now we actually want to set up our lines the way we had them before as much as possible, but we might want to rework some of the lineup. Like, I think I might want Hartnell actually as a 2nd liner, and I want Nagy on that top line instead. 2nd line would be Sullivan, Hartnell, and Legwand. 3rd line would be Kopecky, actually not Kopecky, Van Allen, Pavelski, and Nilsson? Actually, no, wait, Axelson's not in the lineup yet, that's right. We got to get Axelson in. So we want Kopecky down in the 4th line for the time being. Axelson will jump in. And then we want to take, this is actually, Arkhipov shouldn't be in the lineup. We'll probably go Kopecky down the middle then. And we will put Pandolfo in this spot. So this is what I'm thinking with for the 4 group. Is Nagy, Spezza, Marita, Hartnell, Legwand, Sullivan, Van Allen, Pavelski, Axelson, and a 4th line of Pandolfo, Kopecky, and Nilsson. I think that'll make us stronger defensively for sure. Pandolfo, I hope he likes his ice time down there, but he will get some PK time likely as well. Defensively, it did scratch Teppo Numminen just like we were thinking, so I think that's probably what we're going to run with for now. Obviously, Teppo could come back in and help us out offensively, but right now, Rob Blake's that exact replacement for him in a sense too. Blake will not be on the first power play based on this, but I think I'll probably take Sully off the first unit. Yeah, I think I'll take Sully off the first unit just because Rob Blake's a crazy good defenseman, so we need somebody like that at the point. So we'll get Sully on the second power play instead of Nilsson. Nilsson doesn't really need to be on the power play, so there we go. We'll take Rob Blake off this unit, and we will throw in Trevor Daley's already on that unit, which is good. Who else do we want to throw in? Is Van Allen on the power play? He is not. Let's get the youngster Van Allen some power play time. Might as well, because that could help him out in terms of getting his offense going. Yeah, I like that a lot. Alright. And then we will take Sully off this one again. Once again, put Rob Blake there. We want Rob Blake on a lot of ice. Like, he should be getting PK time as well. We just want to make sure that we're as stacked as possible here. Because at this rate, even though we're technically still rebuilding, we're trying to have a better playoff run this year. And one that will actually make our team somewhat a little bit better. Penalty kill. Let's see. Pavelski, Nilsson, that's okay. Spezza, Marita. I want Pandolfo and Axelson to get PK time. I do like that first unit. I am going to take, I think, Spezza and Marita off. Actually, maybe not Marita. I do like Marita on the PK. Spezza, on the other hand, on the PK. Actually, he's really good defensively, to be honest. Maybe I'll take Van Allen off the PK. And we will put PJ Axelson in that spot. Yeah. We might put Pandolfo on the PK at some point. But I don't know if it's necessary right now. Alright. That's good and set up and ready to go. And Dan Ellis is now the backup. He is listed still as a minor starting goalie, but we had to make an adjustment with the goalie situation at some point. And our HL team should be set up and ready to go. They did sign us this Tanaka guy. It was a draft pick of the Islanders, oddly enough. I don't know why they had to sign me a higher overall goalie, because I didn't want a higher overall goalie than a 70. But it is what it is. Nicholas does not need to be scratched in the AHL. I will take out Darren... Actually, not Darren Hayter. Actually, should take out Darren Hayter. Maybe I'll take out Ramsey Beat for the second. Just because we got to get our good prospects back in those spots again. I don't know why when you go best lines in the NHL, how it best lines the AHL as well. It's kind of annoying. And we'll put a bead in that spot. Perfect. That should be good. Yeah, that's good. And ready to go. Alright, so we're ready to actually simulate some more. It's been like 20-something minutes, and all we did was a bunch of trades, but we should be able to get the rest of the season done. Obviously, we're going to take a look at the AI trades that happened at the 2005 trade deadline, though, so let's take a look at that once we get past the trade deadline, because we've made our moves. We don't need to make any more. And yeah, we'll just go continue. Wonder if there's any blockbusters at the 05 deadline. Hopefully there is, because it's always interesting. There's one. Brian McCabe getting sent to the New York Rangers a little bit early for 2 second-round picks. I was kind of interested in Brian McCabe a bit, but I feel like Rob Blake will bring more offense than Brian McCabe would. So Brian McCabe gets dealt from Chicago to the Rangers, so Chicago is trying not to make the playoffs anymore, which is interesting because they were actually pretty good. And that's the only blockbuster trade according to the game. So will there be any other interesting trades? Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. Player pick and trading. Let's remove my face. You guys. Actually, I don't even need to remove my face. It's not even in the way of anything. So Mike Komisarek and a second-round pick get dealt to LA for Peter Bondra and Jeff Finger. So Peter Bondra, who was on our team last season, decided to join the Edmonton Oilers, so he gets dealt. We saw about the Brian McCabe trade. A second and a third go to Calgary from Colorado for Stefan Yell and a third. So Stefan Yell headed back to Colorado, which is pretty damn sick. Pittsburgh gets a third and Todd Simpson and 2 others for some goalie named Ruutu, a fourth and a fourth. So Vancouver has maybe now their future goalie prospect. You never know. St. Louis has acquired Theo Fleury, Kirk Maltby, and Aaron Miller from Toronto for a second and some guy named Kai Alanin. So Theo Fleury on his way to the Blues. Atlanta has acquired a third, and some guy named Pielmeyer for Juha Ullinen, a third and 2 others who go to Colorado. The Rangers have gotten a prospect named Rohan Ribeiro and Ruben Rawlings, so the double R's, for John Madden, Darren Van Imp, and Kevin Adams. Kevin Adams got dealt to Buffalo. Oh, no. Oh, no. He's the worst general manager probably out there right now, and he's just gone to the team he's actually the general manager of. That's actually kind of nuts. Sabres fans are going to hate to see that. San Jose has acquired Trevor Letowski and a third for a second, some guy named Schoenmakers, and a guy named Prohorkin. Boston gets Andrew Burnett and Ola Kavasha for a second, a third, and Kyle Quincy. So it seems like after we made that trade with Boston to bring in 2 left wingers, they were just actually trying to still be a good team and make the playoffs. So they brought in 2 guys to replace them, which is kind of funny. So I don't know why they decided to trade with us, but oh well. Arizona's acquired a 4th, Chris Draper and Danny Markov from Chicago for a 3rd and a 4th. So Chris Draper going to the team that was originally the team that drafted him, technically the Winnipeg Jets. The Islanders get Sammy Paulson a 5th and a 7th from the Flames for a 2nd and a 3rd. Toronto gets a 3rd and a 3rd for Jan Hlavich, who heads to Buffalo. So Buffalo loading up. Buffalo also gets, I think that's Xavier Brust, a generated guy. Pedersen and a 3rd from Edmonton for Curtis Brown and Brett McLean. We're on their way to Edmonton, so Edmonton's also loading up. Florida's gotten Joe Nieuwendyk quite a bit early, like 3 years early. Yeah, like a couple years early. That's actually really sick. Because after the lockout, he was in Florida for a little bit. I remember actually seeing a game, Ottawa versus Florida. Sens tied it up super late, and then Joe Nieuwendyk won it in overtime in that game. So, shout out to Joe Nieuwendyk, but him and Andre Zuzin and 2 others go to Florida for Dion Phaneuf and a 4th round pick. So Dion Phaneuf's rights have been dealt. That's interesting. Philadelphia has brought back Kim Johnson, who was actually, he wasn't there at the start of the series. He would have been on New York. So that's actually pretty sick. He goes to a team he actually played for with a 6th round pick and Andrew Ferentz. A 2nd and a 3rd going to the Dallas Stars. So Dallas is looking like they're in rebuild territory. Nashville's acquired a 4th, and actually that's our picks whenever I'm saying. I was like Nashville, and I was like, wait, it's like that's us. There's all of our trades, and we saw that other trade, I think, in the last episode, that Jason Smith one, if I'm not mistaken. So there is the trade deadline for 2005. Kind of interesting to see guys like Joe Nieuwendyk getting dealt to the teams that he actually played for, because I really like it when that happens. All right, we did just win that game 3-1. I actually do want to take a look at the player stats from the guys that we just acquired in that first game. I'm curious on that stat line. Even though I know it's just one game, I just want to see how they did in our first games with us. Axelson had nothing, but that's okay. He was even 0, so that's better defensively than what Barteshko probably would have done. Pandolfo, same boat. That's okay. Rob Blake probably chipped in with the offense, my guess. Let's see. No, he did not, but he was a +1 in that one game, and he was also got 2 penalty minutes, okay. All right. And did Dan Ellis play that game? Probably not yet, right? No, he did not. Will be interesting to see how good Dan Ellis does by comparison to DiPietro, because DiPietro was starting to heat up, but it's just we don't need somebody like DiPietro when we have Sedin. Like, Sedin's literally developed a lot quicker, and he's already like the best goalie we've had in quite some time. Like, he's way better than Vokoun ever was, so... let's go to the 24th and take it a little bit slow, but obviously want to get the rest of the season simulated. Aaron Ward's on waivers. I don't think I need Aaron Ward. It would be good to have a depth defenseman, but he has not been a good defender this year in Buffalo, which I believe Buffalo was loading up, so Buffalo should be a good team. But he's not been that good, and he is pretty old at this point. I don't really need him, so I'm not going to claim him. Jay McClement's back for the AHL. That's good news, considering he's technically one of the top prospects in the AHL at the moment. We'll get him in instead of Klassen, because Klassen's already 27. But let's continue to simulate. We're playing pretty damn good in the last little while. Of course, after I said that, we lost 6-1, though. But yeah, it looks like we are going to be a playoff team, which is great. That addition to Rob Blake hopefully helps us out quite a bit in terms of the offense a little bit, and as well a little bit defensively, too, because... obviously, that's one area that we were struggling in a little bit, so I'm just hoping for better plus-minuses on the defensive side of things. Kind of like clean that up a little bit, and hopefully it does good once we actually get to the postseason as well. Like, hopefully Rob Blake isn't the next Peter Bonder, basically, on this team. Bob Boughner on waivers with 3 years left at $2.11 million. Not really worth it, considering he's 34 years old. How was he in the NHL, out of curiosity? He actually was playing pretty good, though. Like, he was having a career year in St. Louis. Really good defensive stats. Yet they decided just to put him on waivers. I'm not going to claim him, but if he had 1 year left, I might have claimed him just because that's a decent addition to the defense. So, but I'm not going to do it just because of the amount of term. Let's go through these last 3 games of March. There's a 1-0 win. Corazzini has been injured. That's not good. He was probably having a pretty good rookie season in the AHL too. Bruises his hand out till April the 3rd. but he will be back for the AHL playoffs if they are to make it. Kostitsyn also gets injured the next day. Damn. So a couple big injuries for the AHL club. And we have a couple more games left this season. 5 more games. We have likely clinched. Yep, we've made a playoff spot, which is great. That's exactly what we were kind of hoping for after we had a good last episode, we kind of hoped for the playoffs. At the beginning of the season, we weren't really sure if we were going to be a playoff team or not. But I am kind of glad that this team is, because I think it's good to get that experience for guys like Marita. Hall's now been injured too. Damn, everybody in the AHL is getting slapped with injuries at the moment. And then same with Andrew Hutchinson, who was probably sent down with some of the roster moves. Corzini is back. That's good news. We'll get him back into the lineup. Make sure he's right in the right spot, which is where Darren Hadar currently is. Where is Corzini? Oh, he's put it back into the lineup probably because of an offensive injury, right? Where are you, Corzini? Where is Corzini? What the hell? I am confused. I don't see him. I always get blind when I don't see him in this part. Where is he? Oh, there he is. He's back in that spot. So we got put into the second pairing, which is not what we want. So we want him in the top pairing because he's a top pairing defenseman. So we'll do that. I don't know why I always get, can't find where the guy is and that type of stage. Let's see. And we'll put Darren Hadar in that spot, even though he's not a defender for the time being, just because of Andrew Hutchinson's injury. There, that's good to go. 5-3 win. And we have a lot of players back for the AHL, which is good. But also I need to find out where they are all slotted in. Who is also back? Oh, Adam Hall is almost back to full health. Hutchinson's not back yet, so I'll wait till those guys are fully healthy before putting them back in the lineup. There you go. Now Adam Hall's back. Now we could actually put him in instead of Klassen, I think it was. So we'll get Adam Hall into the lineup again. He's not really developing, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. He's just a bottom 6 guy anyways. It's not super important. There's another nice little win. Final 2 games of the season is a loss and a win. Very bad defensive game against Toronto, but a good defensive game against the Caps. So we finished 45-27, 7-3, which is good for second place in the Central Division. Almost won the division, but not because of the ties. The ties that the Blues had edged us out a little bit. All right. Well, let's take a look at what we got here. Spezza was under point per game. Damn, so our offense might have dried up in the second half a little bit. Maybe. Tough to tell. Let's take a look at the standings. See where we finished in the entire league. We did not actually, we did finish as a top 5 team in the league. I didn't expect that. Okay, so that's a really good season for our team. That might be one of our best seasons we've had yet in this franchise mode. So we weren't going to win the President's Trophy because of Philadelphia and Montreal, but we nearly were the best team in the Western Conference. So that's pretty impressive based on our age and all that. In terms of offense, goals for per game, yeah, we weren't a super strong offensive team in that second half, I guess, but we were still a little bit below the top 9 or top 10, so it's not too bad. It's just kind of average. In terms of goals against per game, though, this is probably where we were strong. Yep, we were one of the best defensive teams in the league. We're not going to win a Vezina or a William M. Jennings, but we were a top 10 defensive team, which is pretty impressive considering this was Sedin's first season as a starter. Power play percentage. Our power play was, not very good. And that's probably why our offense wasn't super good either. Alright, so our power play needs to improve. And then penalty kill percentage, our penalty kill was the best in the league. Love to see it. So very good defensive stats. I like to see that. We're pretty much a stereotypical Nashville Predators team. Good defense. And yeah, both good home and away. 7-3 in our last 10 games. Alright. Let's take a look at some player stats and see who did what for our team this year. So, starting off with our centers, Spezza on 79 points. Really good season from Jason Spezza. Obviously, his extension kicks in next year. And he's only been getting better every single year. So, excited to see what's to come with Jason Spezza. Legwand on 54 points and a +8 is really solid. That's definitely a lot better than I was expecting from somebody like David Legwand. Good little contract, too. Joe Pavelski in his rookie season, not bad. 26 points, 10 goals, -3. That's kind of exactly what you kind of need from a third-line center at the moment. Eventually, he could be into our top 6, too. And why did he drop down to a 76? He was definitely a 78. And he was listed as a, like, depth forward, but now he's listed as, like, an other forward. That's kind of strange. Isn't losing morale either, so I don't really know what's going on with him, but he'll probably shoot up in overall for next season, my guess. In terms of left wingers, Steven Morita, 75 points in his second season, 39 goals. So his goal scoring went from 31 to 39 in the last, like, 17 games of the season or whatever it was. So he definitely struggled a little bit in terms of goals down the stretch, but he did have his best season yet of his career, so he's only getting better as well. He's going to be a really good goal scorer soon. Like, he's going to be in the 40-50 goal range. His takeaways are phenomenal as well, so very excited for what's to come with Steven Morita. And hopefully he has a better playoffs than last year, because he didn't score a single goal last year in the postseason. So it'll be interesting when he finally scores his first. Hartnell on 74 points as well is really good at a plus 16, so he really started to take off a little bit in the second half. Maybe we should have kept Hartnell on the top line, and maybe that's why Morita kind of struggled, is because Nagy was moved to the top line. Maybe we should put that top line back together again or something like that. That could be a possibility. Nagy had 58 points, which is nice. Axelson with us. He played 85 games this year. Had 10 points in 17 games and was +4. So he brought offense, which is not really what I brought him in for. But he also brought that good plus-minus. And let's see the takeaways. Takeaways were good too. So that's exactly what I kind of needed from PJ Axelson. Maybe give us a little bit of depth scoring and also some good defense. That's really nice. I like that. Jay Pandolfo was not bad as well as a fourth-line guy. He actually brought a lot of offense too. Only the 1 goal, but 7 points is nice for a fourth-line guy. +2 is better than some of the other guys we've had on our fourth line. And his takeaway numbers were fantastic. I know that he's a really good two-way forward, so I was really happy to bring him in, even though he is 31. So our bottom 6 doing a lot better with those guys involved. And Thomas Kopecky, only 17 points, only -4. So much better defensive stats with this team in that second half, I feel like. And then Steve Sullivan on 75 points. He's been good so far. I don't know how much longer he's going to stay in Nashville, but he's been good. Hayden Van Allen, pretty good rookie season, 22 goals and 32 points. He's also going to be a good goal scorer when he gets better. That's not too bad. His preseason stats, he didn't even play a preseason game because I guess I forgot to call him up for the preseason or some shit. But excited to see what's to come for Van Allen. Nilsson on 27 points, not too bad. And Cesar played 2 games within a point, which is not bad. Defensively, how good did Rob Blake do in Nashville? Really good. 12 points in 17 games, 5 of them were goals, so he definitely helped us out quite a bit. And he was +7 in those 17 games. So Rob Blake doing exactly what I brought him in for, which is great to see. He's also getting a lot more ice time than he was in LA. And he was turning over the puck quite a bit, but he was pretty good still. But that takeaway giveaway ratio is absolutely atrocious. I don't think I've ever seen such a big thing like that. 16 giveaways, 2 takeaways? Jeez. Well, hopefully Rob Blake doesn't turn it over too much in the postseason. Delmore on 41 points is fantastic too. Considering he's only an 80 overall, he's actually pretty good in terms of bringing offense. So I like that. Maybe he comes back again next year. Trevor Daley on 25 points. Great rookie season from him. +18 as well. Teppo didn't play after the Rob Blake trade, but he might come back into the playoffs. Depends if we need more offense or not. Belak on 17 points, only a -3, so his plus-minus definitely improved in that second half. Orpik on 15 points, -5, and Sushi 14 points, but -6. Not bad. Goaltending-wise, Sedin even improved even more so in that last little bit of the season. He ended up picking up 7 shutouts in his rookie season. That's a lot of shutouts for a rookie season. 40, 22, and 2. 7 shutouts to 911 save percentage. So went from the 910 to a 911. So that got better. And that goals against average also got better, I think, too, in this episode. And then Dan Ellis only literally played the 1 game with Sedin down the stretch. That's kind of funny. And he did not do too good in that game. He lost it. But he only allowed 3 goals, which is not bad. So Sedin literally could be a Calder favorite, which would be awesome because I have not had a goalie that's won a Calder in quite some time. In my opinion, he should definitely win it, but I feel like he might not still. In terms of the rest of the league, Jaromir Jagr led with 117 points. Next closest was Appleby, the generated guy, Ruchinski, Paul Correa, Andrew Castles. Okay. Yeah, all right. Best goal scorer this season was Jaromir Jagr with 66. Next closest was Bure, who had 10 less goals. Appleby and Lindros also hit 50 plus. All right. Terms of defense. The best defenseman, Oleg Tverdovsky, with 76 points. Eric Desjardins also up there, and Nick Lidstrom. Probably Desjardins going to win it based on the plus minus, but it could be close with him and Tverdovsky. All right. Best goalie this season in terms of wins was Dominic Hasek. Look who's right behind him, Marcus Sedin, and then Cristobal Huet. Most shutouts was Marcus Sedin in his first season. Either we're just a really strong defensive team, or Marcus Sedin's like literally the best rookie goalie I've ever had. In terms of save percentage, Roberto Luongo up there in save percentage in 59 games, but Roman Turek played 70 and had really similar numbers. So Roman Turek could be a Vezina favorite this season. That's interesting. And oh my goodness, Thomas Vokoun up there for the Sharks. He got injured apparently, but shout out to Thomas Vokoun. Goals against average by a starter, the best is Roman Turek. So yeah, I think Roman Turek's going to win the Vezina. And in terms of rookie points, Jankumov's led with 49 points. You had Vanek with 49 points. Do you think, guys, that any of these guys will win the Calder over Marcus Sedin? Because Marcus Sedin, in my opinion, should win it based on these numbers. Because 49 points in a rookie season is good, but it's not fantastic. And then when you have a goalie with 7 shutouts in his first season, I think Marcus Sedin's going to maybe win the Calder this year, which would be very, very cool if that is the case. So there is the player stats. Now the question is, who are we playing in the first round of playoffs? And then that'll be it for this episode. We are going to be taking on none other than the San Jose Sharks, which means if Vokoun is returned back to health, we will be taking on Thomas Vokoun. They went 42, 25, 10, and 5 during the season. All right. Let's actually take a look at the standings just to see how they did compared to us. And then we'll take a look at their lineup and see if Vokoun's back in the lineup or not. So we were the second best seeded team in the Western Conference. San Jose was 5th. We only were up there because we were second in our division. I honestly don't know why we finished technically second place, but oh well. Anyways, in terms of offense, we are pretty similar offensively. They only scored 4 less goals than us. However, defense is where we're probably going to beat them. No, they're actually better defensively than us. So we're kind of similar offensively, kind of similar defensively. Special teams, we are a little bit better on the power play, but not by much. And then penalty kills, we're both pretty strong. So we might be very similar teams in terms of how we're built up, which is kind of interesting. They were not a good team on the road, and they were really good on home ice. Their last 10 games, they were not super strong, which has me a little bit worried. Let's take a look at their roster. We'll take also a look at their player stats during the season too. So that way we can have a better picture of who was actually producing for them. But what is the Sharks looking like at this stage? Because we did obviously take a look at the rosters at the beginning of the season, but they have made some movements, and obviously. So, first line of Jeff Friesen, Patrick Marleau, Owen Nolan. A really good top line. Yeah, it's going to be tough to contain. Second line, Nicholas Sundstrom, Jeff Halpern. That's kind of a weird second line center. And Marco Sturm. That's a really good top 6. Like, maybe one of the better top 6s we've seen in a team that we've faced. Third line, Rene Corbet, Craig Darby, and Trevor Letowski, who did just get acquired at the deadline, I think. And a fourth line of Jonathan Chichu, Ryan Johnson, and Antti Alto. Yeah, that's a well-built up team. Maybe a little bit too weak down the middle in that sense that it drops from Marleau to Halpern, but it's still good. It's still good. Defensively, Brad Stewart and Scott Hannon, Willie Mitchell, and Paul Martin. Damn, Paul Martin's already in San Jose. Francois Beauchemin and John Erskine. Relatively solid defense, good on the right side, good on the left side. And in their goaltending is Marc-Andre Fleury and Mike Smith, because of the fact that Vokoun is currently still injured. So they are having to rely on a young Marc-Andre Fleury, which is interesting. And so far, his career has been okay, but not as good as Sedin's. And he's only played a little bit of one playoff game, and he was absolutely atrocious in it. So they don't have a lot of experience either. And then Mike Smith, obviously, is just getting into the NHL at this stage. So depth-wise, Thomas Vokoun, obviously, we know Thomas Vokoun's technically their normal starting goalie, but he is currently injured. We will definitely take a look at how long he's out for. Nico Dimitrakos is also there, and Sean McEachern. Yeah, that's a pretty good team. Very good team. Let's take a look at how they did during the regular season, that players on the roster. And then we'll take a look at the injury to see how long Vokoun is out for, because it would be nice if he's out the entire series so we could go up against a young Marc-Andre Fleury instead, because Marc-Andre Fleury early in his career kind of struggled. So I'm hoping that's the same here in this franchise, so to speak. So in terms of San Jose's stats from the regular season, Owen Nolan was the best forward. Him and Jeff Friesen, Patrick Arlo, all similar numbers. Sturm was good. Sundstrom was good. Trevor Letowski was good. He was really good, yeah. 9 points in 18 games with the Sharks, but he had 50 points in Arizona before he was acquired. Jeff Halpern has been good as well. They actually look like they have pretty good depth scoring despite not being that good offensively. Their defenders, Brad Stewart brings offense, same with Paul Martin. The other guys, pretty average numbers as well. And in the goaltending, Vokoun was good. Fleury was kind of average. And then Mike Smith was really good in the short span he played. All right. So that's what San Jose is looking like in terms of player stats. Now the question is, will Vokoun be back at any point during this first round? It's kind of funny seeing Vokoun and Fleury on the same team, because I remember when they were both on the Pittsburgh Penguins back in like 2015. So just thinking of that series when they played like Ottawa and all that. I think it was 2015 at least. Maybe it was 2013. I honestly don't remember. We didn't want to go Pittsburgh. We want to go San Jose. Thomas Vokoun, torn groin, out till May 31st, so he will not return in his first round matchup, which is kind of nice, because obviously then we don't go up against a former goaltender that could potentially destroy us, but that's a pretty big loss for them. However, young Marc-Andre Fleury might be able to do good against us as well. So, anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Throwback Nashville Predators 2000 franchise mode. So, in next episode, we'll take it to the first round of the playoffs against the San Jose Sharks, as we look to have a pretty good playoff run because of the fact we added Rob Blake and all that. But obviously, I'm just hoping for more experience with these young guys. I don't care too much if we win a cup this year, but at the same time, it would be nice to go far and obviously win those younger defenders in next season and seasons to come. So, anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.